was like part of our date. Like we went out to dinner, and then he gave me like a glass blowing lesson because he was actually apprenticing under Christian Merwin at that time. So he's like, "Oh, this is our cool date thing," and it kind of backfired on him because I liked it so much that I, instead of like going like home for a nightcap with him, I was like, "No, I'm gonna stay here until they kick me out." So like,
I'm Steve, and welcome to another exciting Elev8, where we sit down with some cool ass artists in this industry. First, we have this really cool ambassador program. You can join as an Elev8 doll or an Elev8 gent, and it's really awesome. You get to help us build Elev8. It's super unique, super special, and you're really a part of something special. Check out Elev8ambassador.com to learn more. Another cool thing we have is our Elev8 Veterans program. I'm really honored to be a part of it. Teresa helps run it, and it's super awesome. We get to rehabilitate and reacclimate veterans into society our way. And you know what? I think we're doing it right. Go check it out at Elev8veterans.com. Third, there's Elev8 Bingo. It's super cool, super fun, and we get to show you more of what we do. And on top of that, every game there's a chance to win $50 credits for Elev8glassgallery.com. Go check it out. And now, let's roll into this super awesome Elev8. Welcome to Elev8. We got Emily Marie here. Thank you for joining us.
hey, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Oh yeah, and this is a welcome back kind of thing. So I'm really excited to have you again. You kind of started this little Elev8 before it was Elev8. So thanks again.
Yeah, hey, I'm stoked. I'm happy. It's been a while since our last run at Las Vegas, so I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, and this is way better. So we're just going to kind of start from scratch again. My first question is, how did you get into this? Because and you got to be a little crazy to be a glass blower. And
yeah, no, it's true. So I totally fell into it just 100% by luck. I actually went on a date with a guy who's still a really good friend of mine, who it was like part of our date. Like we went out to dinner, and then he gave me like a glass blowing lesson because he was actually apprenticing under Christian Merwin at that time. So he's like, "Oh, this is our cool date thing," and it kind of backfired on him because I liked it so much that I, instead of like going like home for a nightcap with him, I was like, "No, I'm gonna stay here until they kick me out." So like I stayed and blew glass instead of going home with my date, and I just was instantly in love with it. So
and no turning back since then, basically.
No, not at all. And that night, so that Christian owned that shop, and he's like, "Look, you have a knack for this. If you wanted to do an apprenticeship, you could." So I think it was like the next day, I just showed right back up. Like, "All right, like, what do you got?" Like, put me to work. So yeah, then I started apprenticing with him and never looked back, really.
Did you do any kind of like fire before, or were you into art previously, or?
Not really. I was a chef, and so I guess, but I never made art before that. Like it was well, that's actually not true. No, I did a little bit of welding. I helped build like an art car for Burning Man with a bunch of weirdos. That was cool. But I never made art on the regular.
Well, you said you were a chef, and I have to imagine like a chef is also an artist of food. They got to take the flavors, they got to make the stuff work, and as well as being in a kitchen. That's some of the most pressure I've ever felt, whether it be a Wendy's kitchen or I didn't move up that high, but
that's pressure. That's still pressure for sure. Yeah, I actually think can you hear that? Sorry.
It's no big deal. It's background.
All right.
Don't even sweat it.
Hold off for a little bit if you want.
No.
Yeah. So I think that there's a lot of parallels. I know a lot of glass blowers who have a background in kitchens. Like there's you have to understand like heat and timing.
It's not that big of a deal. It's
cool.
It really isn't.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
It's picking you up pretty well over the other side.
Okay, cool. All right, good. Yeah, so I think there's a lot of parallels with like understanding heat, understanding timing, and like stacking tasks and doing multiple things at once, and like how long has this been in the oven? How long has this been on the burner? Whatever. I don't know. I think there's a lot of like crossover there.
I agree. I agree. That's pretty neat.
Yeah.
Um, and then how like when did this start? How long have you been on the torch then?
I think it'll be 14 years this year.
Oh wow.
Yeah, this is in 2008. I didn't really get to blow glass a lot until a few years in. I had to like move my life around a little bit so that I could, and then I fully started working for Christian. And then it's kind of cool. Like he now, I worked for him for like 7 or 8 years. I eventually was like training his people and doing all of his high-end production and stuff. And then I split off on my own for several years, and now I actually rent a bench space in that same studio. So
Oh
like I sort of
nice.
went, yeah, which is cool. So now he was my like boss and my teacher, and now he's like my shop mate, and it's like a really neat full circle thing. It's cool to see.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah.
At now, and 14 years later, I, like go into kind of different paths. Do you find that maybe on some things you're a teacher to him and you're both swapping knowledge,
Yeah,
whereas before it was just kind of give and take?
totally. Yeah. And that's actually it's been so cool. The couple, because there's not a ton of things that I know better than he does, but like my work went in a really different direction. And
Mhm.
I mean, when we were doing, gosh, we did the what is it called? The Las Vegas, the World Series of Glass.
Yep.
We went on, so both like Christian made a piece that was in the finals, and Lacey and I placed. And so the next year we went on like this road trip with the Las Vegas crew, and we went to LA and made to Peace of Mind, and made a piece together, like he and I, Christian, and Hick Dog and myself. And it was really cool because we're making this piece live, and it got to this point where we needed to like knit a piece back together, this really tiny little detail work with a stringer. And like Christian was trying to do it, and I was like, I'm still kind of deferential to him a little bit, because he's my friend primarily, he's my teacher. But I kind of was like, Christian, can I take over? Can I do that? Because I think I could do a really good job at that. And he's like, please. And he's like, took over and slayed it, and it was just neat. Like there's not a lot of things that I am like better equipped for. Yeah, it's neat. And now we trade tips. I teach him stuff about lip wraps, and he teaches me stuff about the lathe, and it's really cool. It's like
Oh,
a cool share.
Yeah, that's really neat. As as you grow, you can get skills, and then when you travel around and go other places, and like you went into another path. So that's a question I usually ask later in the interview. But what did or what caused you to make a change in your career? Because now you do a lot of bulls and stuff like this, where before you were a piper, and so
Yeah.
you're not necessarily a piper yet. You can make pipes still, but
Yeah,
what
yeah.
caused
So
that?
I made pipes for a really long time, and I guess I just got to a place where I was like just feeling a little stagnant, right? Like I just wanted to try something else. Like I love the pipe community, and the industry has done a lot for me. I cut my teeth there, and I will never have anything but love for that. But I just was like, I'm bored. I want to try something else. I want to grow in a different direction. And for me, I have to like try pretty hard to get myself out of that comfort zone. So it wasn't enough to just like start exploring other things. I actually was like, look, I made a public statement, like I'm not making pipes for at least a year,
Mhm.
and to kind of force myself out of that comfort zone to explore other work. And it was awesome. It was great. Like I feel like I was kind of flopping around for a little while trying to figure out what the hell I was doing. But then things started to kind of come to fruition, and then I fell in love with just really simple, really, really tedious like glassware. So the chopsticks became a thing, and I realized too that set that you've got, the bowl, I actually have the sticks for that bowl right here. It was a repair.
Yeah, I
And
know. I got more bowls, and we were gonna have that here, but I didn't. We were just able to get this for this, and
oh,
it
you're
is what it
fine. You're
is.
good.
But
You're welcome. I just think it's funny because I like those exact ones I have, like I've got right here. But
Well, that's perfect, right? It's
Yeah, it's
almost
kind
like
of
we're in
funny.
the same room then.
It's
Not
like, I
really.
know, kind of, they're like packed up and stuff. But anyway, so like the chopsticks kind of became a thing, and yeah, it was like an intentional break away from that body of work.
And
And
so like the chopsticks, you know, while they seem so simple, it's just a straight piece. It's not just a straight piece, it's a perfect taper. And then
yeah,
it's not just one, it's two, and they have to match up. And I know all the ones that I got from you, all the colors line up, all of it's there. Like, you know, like I I don't know if you were doing that in the pipe industry or this new venture took you to really trying to create two of a kind. And
yeah. So I mean, I had a little bit of experience with that. Like in like some of my early work, I had like horns and stuff was a big part of my work. And so I had a little bit, but I hate matching two pieces. I actually really have never liked it. It's always stressed me way out.
it's hard.
It's really difficult. It's hard. Making one is fine. Making the first one might take an hour. Making the second one might take four. Like it's really difficult. So, um, and actually I started by I know that that's like a weak point of mine. Like it's something that I struggle with, but it's something I wanted to be good at. So I was like, oh, I should just as an exercise make a pair of glass chopsticks, which I mean, it's a little silly. Like they're not like daily use chopsticks, right? Like they're durable, but like you don't want to use them every day. But I mostly I wanted to do it to practice matching and practice a perfect taper. I hadn't even planned on, I almost didn't post my first set because I was like, this is dumb. Nobody's going to like it. And then they just blew up. And then I got all these orders for them and was like, well, shit, I better get good at this now. Like and then they were like the biggest part of my work for the year after that. And now I'm a lot better at them, and I enjoy them a lot more, but they really did also kind of start by accident. Like it wasn't like, oh, I've got this great idea, I'm going to see if people want to buy it. It was like, I'm going to fuck around with this like technical exercise. And then it accidentally was a success. It was interesting.
But that's how like a lot of like really great things happen in life. Like you have maybe a vision for what you want, and then you go down that path, and like you have all these mountains, hills, and shit you got to get under, through, or around.
Yeah.
And through there you find new things. And
yeah, it's true. It's true. Like so much happens when you just follow your curiosities. Like what are you curious about? Like poke around and find out. Like I find that, and this is a big part of why I wanted to back away from pipes, because there's all these trends to follow. There's so many, like, are you using this color? Are you making this fitting? It's just, and that's okay. Like that's how people make a living. But for me, it's really hard to it's really stifling creatively for me, because it's hard not to fixate on that.
Right, because it almost pulls you in for competition, or kind of like competing, where this is just, you just get to be out in the wind in a free flower, maybe.
Yeah, and I think you come up with better ideas that way. Anyway, I think cool things happen when you can disengage from that for a minute and just go after what you're curious about and see what happens. And some things are going to suck, and some things are going to be like surprise successes. And it's probably
that's life.
Yeah, and it's probably going to be more fun than just trying to follow what sells.
Right. What is your favorite color to use?
Oh my God, I don't know. I have so many. I can't restrict myself to one color. I'm a color freak. You've seen my work. I can sometimes spend more time picking a color scheme than I can making a piece. I'm obsessed. I am totally obsessed over it, and I drive myself a little crazy with it sometimes.
But it comes out well, though. The colors match right,
yeah,
and everything flows well. So
I hope it does. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I love Roswell. I love
me too.
Yeah, I just love it. I love to look at it.
And it works good. It's not like a cadmium that is like, oh, I might.
It works.
It might fuck up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's really buttery. It's really easy to use, and I use a lot of cadmiums, and cut some of them are seen. Yeah, so you can do anything with roswell. I love that. Sorry. And every time I can't like not look at it. I just think it's really beautiful.
Yeah, it just sucks you in. I agree.
Yeah.
What color do you not like? Like you're not going to put it in your pieces.
So I don't know. I think the only ones that I found that I don't love to use in my work. Like, I don't know. I can't say that I don't like any particular color. But I like fumey colors are really difficult to use in this application. Like, cause I want like clean lines between everything.
And will they fume up? Because you get like your lines and that's what we got to show there. Like the lines, it's not just in Calmo work, but the lines are ridiculously thin.
Yeah. And I want there to be that really solid delineation from color to color. And it's hard to do that with fume because you get so much like splashes fume onto the rest of the piece. And then I don't know, colors I don't like to look at, like real thin, like banana yellow. Like I like really saturated color.
Right, where they're bright and bold and rich and screaming at you.
I like louder. I do. I like that a lot.
Yeah. What's the most difficult piece you've ever done in your career so far?
Like technically or creatively?
I guess what would be just difficult, and maybe it could have been a simple piece, but it just took a long time to figure out how to do it, or just all of it together. I know you've done big installations. Are those more difficult than say?
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah. I've had some difficult competitions and stuff. Those have been hard. I think that my hardest
what makes the competition hard is the idea and knowing that you're competing against these people, plus the pressure, the time constraint, and then you got gawkers looking at you.
Oh God, yeah, people trying to like drunk dudes. Oh God, yeah, drunk dudes in Vegas like walking around and heckling you while you're going.
Oh, I bet that's even worse for a female. You know, like I mean, once I'm like, you know, and I gotta say, not all guys are like that, man. Like, but there's guys that go next level and just are like,
yeah, no, I mean, and it's fine. Like everybody gets heckled when they blow glass, but yeah, some of the competitions have been really tough. Mostly for me, I tend to work in this way that's like, I freak out and self-doubt for like months, and I'm like, it's all consuming, and I'm like trying to come up with a good concept, and then I draw it out, and I get excited about it, like, oh my God, this is the worst idea on the planet. What was I thinking? And I do that like several times, and then usually it gets right down to the wire, and I'm like, all right, I got to commit and go for it. And then from there, it's kind of okay. Like the adrenaline of the competition will carry me through. But for me, it's just coming up with an idea that I feel really confident about is like, I'm really hard on myself. So I just am that like that creative, like that self-doubt is by far the hardest part of coming up with a concept of making any piece.
Right.
Like, oh man, because there's always, no matter how long I've been doing it or how whatever, like I'm always at least going to hit one point where I'm sure that this is the worst idea that anybody's ever had, like every single time. And I've actually gotten to be, I came to a point like about a year ago where I was like, all right, this is just a part of my process. Like I'm just going to be, because it's the worst, like you self-doubt and you get into this low spot and you're like, oh my God, I'm a shitty artist. What am I even doing with myself? And then I beat myself up for being there, and it just gets worse. So I've gotten to the point, and this is taking me a long time. I've gotten to the point where I start feeling like that, and I can just be like, you know what? This is part of the process. This is just a natural thing, and I'm not always going to feel this way.
Right.
So just like go do something else for a while, or sleep on it, or whatever, and like look at it with fresh eyes later, and then it'll be over.
And man, that's taken you a while to really learn that of yourself, and
so long.
You know, and that's a good point. You know, I think about just as a human being of growing and learning ourselves. Like we're always we're always learning ourselves. And you said about a year ago you figured that out about you, where you could be like, why am I freaking out? It's part of me. Okay, we'll freak it out, we'll deal with it. And
I think that really is just like, I could talk about like technical difficulties or like hard competitions or distraction or like picky customers, but really that's absolutely the hardest part. And if I have like, I would tell that to any artist, like, because I think most people get there. It for me, it was just like accepting, like, I'm gonna just do this. I'm a crazy person and I'm gonna think I suck for at least a period of time and just stick with it, and it's gonna be okay, you know.
Right. And I think a lot of people have that, you know, the self-doubt, or, you know, it's hard, and you're competing against anybody in your field. So you see what the greats are, and you don't take into consideration like the time they have put in there. And so you're like, but just keep doing it. Do your best and you will succeed.
Yeah. I mean, pretty much anytime I see a piece of art that I think is amazing, what I think of is like, I used to, like a few years ago, I think like, God, I wonder how much time went into making this. But now I look at it with this lens of like, I wonder how many times through this whole process this artist thought that this is just a terrible idea, you know?
Right.
And yeah, I think it's really common. I think it's really common among artists.
I agree. And that's really neat. That's a neat point. Maybe somebody else can see that point now, that you don't just look at it and wonder this, but there's other ways of looking at it. Like, how long did it take, or what skills did they have to learn, or what happened in this person's life to get this vision? And there's so much that goes into art.
Yeah. So true. Totally true.
Have you taken any classes that you feel have helped you out, and do you recommend classes?
Totally. Yeah. So I haven't taken that many. I mean, the first like 8 years of blowing glass for me was working for somebody else. So
that's like a full class.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was like an apprenticeship and then my full-time job for a long time before I went independent. And then, so I had a lot of lessons, I guess, from one person in that application. I highly recommend it. By the time I like went independent, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. Like, there's not a lot of glass blowers in Utah, so I didn't really have anyone else to go to. And there's no classes here, you know. Anyway, so highly recommend classes. I did go to Pilchuck for a session. I got a partial scholarship to a session there, which is so cool. That was so awesome. And got to like explore the cold shop and which like that was where I discovered where I got to try cold working for the first time.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was so cool. And that just blew my mind. Like, I didn't understand how many facets there were to this medium. It's crazy how much
the rabbit holes never stop.
It really doesn't. It's mind blowing. And like seeing, like, I always thought like fused glass was kind of like whatever. It's so cool. Like it's just mind blowing. So yeah, do as much as you can to like. There's so many ways to play with glass. It's mind blowing. And also, it was cool for me to go there because the kind of male dominated nature of the pipe world is like not a thing in the art glass world, which I was like so crazy surprising to me. There was all of a sudden like that dynamic didn't really exist of like being one of the 10% of women that were there.
Right.
So that was really cool. So if you're a woman and you're blowing glass, like go check out art glass studios and just see like what they're doing and bring some of your lessons back to the pipe world if that's what you want to do. Because it's a big, big, big world. And yeah, there's lots of fun. I would like to take a lathe class next.
Yeah.
Because I kind of have learned that like just by, I've had access to the lathe, but I'm pretty much self-taught. I want to take more classes for sure.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Lathes definitely help out to, make bigger things and expand that next horizon. And so all these are all being done by hand, and all your bowls and.
No, so the bowls are on the lathe. Everything else is by hand. So I do the, like the line work and like the encalma. I make those sections by hand, but then the real big, like the bowls and the decanters are all on the lathe. Everything else is by hand though.
Yeah, when they can start getting so big, the heat is crazy, and it's just
It's nuts. Yeah, it's nuts. And I got tennis elbow really bad. Like I had a bad elbow injury last year. And I'm getting older. Like your soft tissue only has so much time, you
it
can only turn your
sucks.
wrist so many times. So like, I used to kind of judge people who worked on lathes, and now I'm like, fuck that. I'm like, please, like, if anything I can do on the lathe, I'll take it, because it expands what your body will do for you so much, it's pretty cool.
It's that work smarter, not harder. And
Yeah.
I've been there too, where you feel like, buddy badass spinning a piece of 45 and this and that, cracking
Yeah.
it. And, down the road, same thing. You're like,
Mhm.
that was stupid 10 years later.
Yeah.
So
It
kids,
does feel super cool, but like, yeah, I don't want to work that hard anymore, If I'm
right.
not spending my energy on like feeling like a badass twisting a piece of 45 mil, which I can do, I'd rather take that energy and spend it on something else. Like,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. There's only so much time, energy in a day. Do you get to collaborate often?
These days I haven't. It's been hard ever since COVID, for sure. But I've done a couple of collaborations by mail. I've done, I guess I taught a class for Dustin Revere last year.
Okay.
That was awesome. That was super fun. And I got to do a little bit of work with him. But honestly, like, yeah, the pandemic's made it obviously harder to travel. And it's been tough too. Like I've actually got a couple collab pieces that were just mail collabs that are going to be launching pretty soon that I'm so excited about. And I can't say who they're with, but you'll see. So yeah, I've done some mail collabs. I really miss collaborating in person. It's just freaking hard to do that right now, but one day it'll be easier.
Oh yeah, yeah. The collaborations in person, they're good for growth, good for
Yeah.
networking, and just all kinds of good stuff.
Yeah, I've grew so much. I owe a whole lot of who I am as an artist to like all of the collab trips. Because for like 3 years, that was all I did, was just go on collab trips.
Oh, so you would go around and travel and meet people?
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. I'd go on like 3-week road trips to like go to Washington or go. I went to Virginia and worked with like AKM and Justin Carter and those guys, and then like went back up through New York and worked with some. Anyway, I've done a lot of that, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade it for anything, for sure.
So with school and traveling and just that's probably how you've gotten so good, is putting in the time as well as just going around meeting people, learning more styles, and because everybody does something kind of the same but slightly different, and you can see all those things and find you.
Yeah. I've been really fortunate to get to do that so much. Like I think I kind of came up in the golden age of collabing too. Like I don't think I guess maybe it's changed, but it seemed like for a couple of years collabs were just not really as profitable. Like things changed in the weed market, and then people weren't spending so much on rigs. And anyway, so I was really fortunate to like have built enough of a name for myself before then to like get to collab in that era. That was awesome. I'm so thankful. Because I learned a ton. And even if there's not as much money in it anymore, like do it. It was, I can't, working for Christian for 8 years, I learned a lot, so much. I'm so grateful, but like 3 collab trips, it just was just so much more knowledge, like packed up into that, because you're learning from different people.
Well, and I bet if you would have done those collabs at the beginning, while you would have learned a lot, they might not have been as like I guess rewarding or fruitful, had you not had a super crazy foundation that you were able to get with and working hard yourself, and then just being able to go out there and with confidence go in there, work, and then easily absorb something, because it wasn't like, oh, what are they doing? It's, I already got all this shit. It's just seeing all the little changes that you can't see in something until you master it.
Totally. Yeah. I was really lucky too. By the time I was traveling around, I'd already been blowing glass like every day for a long time. So it made it more productive for me than it would have. It was good. I've had a lot of things have lined up for me really well. I've been really, really fortunate.
Hell yeah. Well, I know you're a hard worker, and things don't just happen. Good things happen to people that make things happen, I believe. Not that bad things can't happen, but you owe it to yourself for where you're at.
There's this great thing. I can't remember who said it. I think it was like I don't know, founding father or something. But I'm a great believer in luck, and I find that the harder I work, the more I have of it. And I think that's so true. Like, it's just so true. Like, luck is a factor. It's totally a factor. But the harder you work, the luckier you get. And I'll always live by that.
Right. Being in the right place, right time. The more places you're at, if you get around, you're in more places, better chances.
Yeah.
You have to create your world. And
nobody
gives a shit about you other than you. And then when you care, you can move on and care about others. I believe.
Yeah. True. So true.
Do you consume cannabis yourself or no?
Not very often, honestly. I used to a little bit more. It's kind of it's hit or miss for me. Sometimes it makes me feel real anxious. I don't know.
That does it for a lot of people.
It does, yeah. And sometimes it's great. Like, my rule is like sleep, sex, and skiing, and that's the only time I like to smoke. Like those, and outside of those occasions, I'm like, nah, it's not my jam. But if I'm going outside to like not be around people and like explore the outside, or if I'm going to sleep, I'm cool with that.
Well, yeah, weed does have that too sometimes, where you start thinking about yourself. So if you're already, like you said, my art, I'm like not sure about it, then you smoke some weed or something, you're like, more like, so I can see how that it does affect people a lot. So
it does. Yeah, it's interesting. It just seems so like it's hard to track. I also live in a state where I can't like,
it's bad there.
I can't like go to like a bud tender and be like, hey, what's this gonna do for me? So I think maybe that's part of it. That's what makes it like such a hit or miss experience for me, because it's hard to know what I'm getting, But
right.
Anyway, I could probably resolve that. But
when you used to, or when you do consume, do you prefer the flower, the concentrates, or do you like edibles?
I like flower. Honestly, I'm a bad pipe maker. I like a joint. I really do. I have like my own little home glass pieces that I'll bring out like for company, but honest to God, if it's just me, I have like a tiny little joint, and that's what I want.
Right, and that's all you need sometimes, a little bitter, Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Do you have any hobbies outside of glass?
Yes, I do a lot of outdoor stuff. I ski all the time, or as much as I can. I go camping a lot. I go hiking a lot. I like backpacking. We do a lot of canyoneering. So like we'll go on these like big, it's not like rock climbing so much. We do a lot of like desert. You like go into a desert canyon and then you rappel down into it. So we'll go and do like a few weeks ago, I was on, I dropped my phone while I was halfway down a 130-foot rappel. So like I'm hanging 75 feet above the ground, and like my phone pops out of my pocket. Anyway,
nice.
Yeah. So we do like outdoor adventure stuff. It's my favorite. It's my favorite thing to do, is just be outside.
Right. Well, and where do you get a lot of your inspiration and creativity from? Would that also be from outside, or?
Yeah, I think so. I think the outdoors probably inspires me more than anything else. Also like food. Like I love to eat, and I love.
That's what keeps you alive.
It's my favorite, and it's actually like it's really why I love backpacking. Like I got really into backpacking a few years ago because I realized you have to like really think hard about like the calorie content of the food that you're bringing and the weight and how many calories you're going to be burning every day. So like if you're doing a long hike, you have to really geek out on the food, which like I have a background as a chef. So I was like, anyway, so I found that like you are out there and you're burning a shitload of calories. So you have to stop and eat a snack like every 2 hours in like beautiful places. And I realized that like, actually, I like to be outside and get exercise and hike, but really why I like backpacking is because I just get to find cool places to eat snacks all day, and that's all I do. So actually like part of making the chopsticks were like, I love to eat noodles, and I, uh, I, I really want to like savor food. I want to enjoy it more slowly. I want it to be special. And something about that kind of felt symbolically cool. Like you have to really slow down and savor this because these are made of glass and they're not like,
Right.
I don't know. There's something symbolic about that that kind of appealed to me. Like,
I
so
like
yeah,
that.
yeah, savoring food and savoring experiences and like and ritual and all that are big sources of inspiration for me too.
That's a neat point. Just, because life is short, so we got to savor it, savor food, savor
Yeah,
just moments. These moments,
mhm,
everything in life, it goes fast.
totally. It does. Yeah, faster and faster every day because
Yeah.
every day is a smaller portion of the days that you've experienced so far.
Yep.
So that literally, in your perception, every day is shorter than the one before it.
It's crazy how that works. That concept that
Yeah.
this is your world, and the more you live, your little bit that you got left or whatnot is smaller. It's just so neat.
Mhm. Yeah, lap it up.
Yeah. Do you still find you have the same love and passion in glass today as when you first started?
Yeah, you know what? I struggled for a little while, and that like right around the time that I and that was part of what led me to stop making pipes because I don't know. It's really the best way to kill your passion for something is to make it into a job, right? Not that there are great ways to do that, but like I just got too distracted with like the rat race part, like the keeping up with sellable trends part. And it kind of killed it for me for a while. And I wasn't having as much fun and I hated that. And that's why I made that shift. And I'm really grateful. And now I'm back to a place where I'm like, this is fun. This is super fun. And
Hell yeah.
I feel a lot more I don't know. I've been doing glass for a really long time. And I think part of why it's kept my attention is because it's really difficult still. Like I still just get punked all the time, and that keeps me involved. There's always challenges, always, and I need that personally.
Right. And with glass, you have to remember and follow every tiny step, just like a dance. It's fully coordinated, and if you don't know the dance, it's just going in the water bowl or wherever it's going, and it's
true.
neat. It's neat. And where's the best places to find your work and follow you and do all that stuff? Is it Instagram, Facebook, website?
So the best place to see what I'm making is Instagram at Emily Marie Glass. Honestly, I make custom work these days almost entirely. So I don't have work available for sale most of the time unless it's through galleries like Elev8. And only a very few. Or you can DM me to start a custom piece. It's just I'm always on a back order. It's just easy.
Good.
Yeah. But you can see recent work. Usually on Instagram is the best place. I also have a website at emilymarieglass.com.
All right. And and you are willing to talk to people DM, so reach out to you and place an order with you, and that's great stuff.
It might be I might be slow. Forgive me. It might take me a couple of days to get back, but I always will, and I'm happy to do custom work.
Hell yeah. Well, Emily, it was such a great time today. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and hanging here with me. And
Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. You guys are awesome. Elev8 is awesome. I've always just loved being with your crew.
Wow. Thank you so much. You're awesome. Your work's great. Your personality's great. And you've just been great in the scene. I've seen you grow up through the whole thing, like not fully, but like this industry has been neat. And just watching you grow as an artist has been amazing. So keep kicking ass.